Good morning, everybody. It's James Fucillo with Office Hours in beautiful San Luis Obispo, although looks like we're threatening some rain today. We're about to get on the horn with Pete at Tellason. We had some technical issues this morning with some power washers on his side, but I'm going to connect him in now and see how it goes. Let me just click on here. If you can join in. Looks like he's joining in now. Pete, if you're watching, there should be a little thing to add you to it. See if we can add him again. There he is.
Hey, not bad for a 54-year-old goat.
Technology, man, it throws you for a loop every time.
Yes, it does. Sorry about that.
No sweat. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Cool. Not too noisy? I guess you're going to get a clean building at the end of the day, so that's good.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I swear, so there's an awning. There's about a 10-foot awning outside of our office, and he's been on that 10-foot awning with a power washer for the last hour and 15 minutes. So, it's really clean. It's really clean now.
It'll be spotless. So cool. So for the people who don't know who you are, maybe you can give yourself a little introduction.
Right. My name's Pete Searson, and I started the company with Tony Patella about 10 years and 1 month ago.
That's right.
And in the beginning we had our day jobs, and for me a couple of young kids and all that, and then it just evolved into what we have now, really with humble beginnings, as a lot of small businesses start. And 10 years later we're still selling jeans. So that's me. You were
prior to starting the company, you were in a sales job, right? Like a international sales gig.
Yeah, I mean, go back in '89, I got into the trade just as a fluke almost, because I finished college and then I was looking for work, and then I got that dude Massimo, who's in hot water right now with bribing those folks, the crew coach at SC. When he was just out of the garage, I got a call from him because I knew him and through friends and family, and I started working for him. That's a different story, but that's how I got in the business. I was a sales guy to start. Yep. And back then, I was a beach volleyball player, and that was kind of his thing, to bring like this whole streetwear vibes, a la Stussy, who was the master at it, and combine it with a little bit of beach volleyball. But then it was like this beach life thing that was, people wanted in on. So it was a great experience, but that's how I got into
for sure
the business as a salesman.
Yep. And then you had met Tony before.
Well, Tony, his dad had a sports shop and in Davis, and I sold early Massimo stuff to that shop. So I just walked in. Tony laughs every time the story comes up, which is not very often, but as a sales guy, you get a big car, you go to the salesman supply shop, at least you're used to, and go buy your rolling rack and your blue bags and your hangers, and they have a loop on it. You get a big pin that sticks through it, and now you're a salesman, with no training. You just go out there and you call people. I literally went to libraries to look up, to find. I got yellow pages in different counties of California in my territory, and I didn't really know anything. And I just started. I looked for sports shops and surf shops and skate shops and stuff, and I'd write down their phone numbers and addresses, and I'd either call or drive around and stop in. Very pleased about that. I don't tell that part of the story without great feeling, because that's how you got things done back then. And now things come easy, but back then you really had to do some research, and it was good training really for a lot of life stuff. And Tony had a shop, was buying for his dad's shop in Davis. It sold, sporting goods and things, so he sold a lot of Massimo back then. That's how we became friends. We just kind of hit it off from there. So that was back in 1990.
And then you get an idea to create your kind of ideal pedestal of a perfect gene, and you guys are off and running, yeah?
Right. Again, it's like you put in the hard work in the front, whether for me it was like going to the library in my local town where I lived and looking up yellow page stuff, or for Tony and I, when we started 11 years ago, we started putting in our eyes, a good fit together, just one of them. It wasn't, this is 2008, 2009. So obviously the economy sucked, and people were struggling, and on every level, and shops were probably hit hardest, because it's hard enough having a brick and mortar, and then you layer on like the worst economy in 50 years, and that's what you get. But the way we saw it was, let's make something really nice and great, and with a bit of meaning. So the details that went into that one fit, and not into the details of what starting a new brand is all about. It wasn't about the brand. It was about the product, right? And it fit well, whether it was tall, skinny like me, or, shorter guys, whatever. We put one fit together. It was the John Graham Mellor, Slim Straight. And it was, and we essentially showed it to different people that we respected in the business, mostly on the West Coast. And people liked it. They put it on, whatever their body shape was, it was well articulated. So if you're a short, fat guy, or tall, skinny, or whatever, it just seemed to fit, and that was it. And then you layer on San Francisco, and Cone Mills White Oak, and Selvage, and all this fun stuff. It gave it life, without sounding corny, because we didn't have anything before that. There wasn't, okay, we got an investor, we're going to go build a collection, we're going to hire designers and marketing people, and advertisements, like, so much of the business can be sometimes, not so much for things in your store, but the big picture. And that was never interesting to us. But product always is. Nothing flashy with the branding, pretty low down. Back then we used to rubber stamp the pockets on the inside, and we even numbered them in the first go around, the 240 pair. We got a Sharpie out and blasted through those. So it was just, nothing's changed there. It's still about the product. I mean, the collection's grown to 7 fits, and we have jackets and stuff. It's essentially classic stuff, as you know, and that's what we pride ourselves on. Joining the hustle of recreating the fanciest new trend, or shirt, or new pocket, or whatever. It's just, it doesn't appeal to us. And maybe if we're 22 years old and kind of new to the business, new to the trade, it might. But at our age, and like essentially wearing stuff that we wore when we were 7 years old, it's all been done. So, but clothing does wear out, and we're happy to be there for people that like our story, and maybe it's where things are made, or how we make it, or the fit. I mean, maybe it's the love for the type of music we listen to. It doesn't matter. It's like, where's that common ground? Let's go get it.
Totally. So that kind of segues into a conversation that we have a lot with your particular brand, because I think, at least in our shop specifically, you're the direct connect to the Cone Mills fabric, right? Do you have any thoughts, or want to talk a little bit about the closing? We've heard some inkling in the last month or so that somebody maybe picked up the machinery. What are you guys doing with your fabric? You want to chat about that at all, or talk about how things are changing a little bit?
Back when we started, we bought what Cone had, right? And again, you have to look at
like a lot of brands, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine. Like what a mill has for sale, buy it. Support that mill. Yeah. And if your ambition is to have a giant assortment of fabrics and always something new and innovative in the technology and the stretch or whatever it is, well, maybe that factory has something for you. But for us, it was always tapping into kind of an old world feel with how things were made. Yep. And knowing all along that our first purchase of 600 yards, didn't move the needle for any salesman's commission or anything. But luckily, Tony had that relationship with Cone, and we took advantage of it. And then, we moved along, and then after about a year and a half, maybe two, we were big enough we could invest in our own fabric. So we designed 12.5 ounce first, and then the 14 3/4, and then the 16.5. So all three of those fabrics that we've been using for a while now are our own. Cone closes, okay. We saw that coming, and good for them to hold on as long as they did. Because if it was your business or mine or somebody else's that we knew, and they saw the profits at the end of the year, they might have closed it a lot earlier.
Yeah.
So good for Cone to hang in there and hope for the best. And I mean, you're talking to half the company right now. We were the 4th largest customer. Yeah. And we don't say that with pride necessarily, even though we're proud of it. But it was more of a comment and about where's everybody else. Yep. We're not the 4th biggest company in America that makes denim. Exactly. Where's everybody else? Like, it takes a village here, and we all have to we all should invest in American-made stuff for the love of it and just for the sake of, denim is so weird. If you're a lawn chair company, go wherever you want to go. Yep. Nobody cares. I don't think people really care. They just want a cool-looking chair to sit in and yep. on the patio. But for iconic parts of our country, whether it's like a motorcycle, say a Harley Davidson, all the cliche stuff, sure. Blue jeans for sure, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff. Yeah.
We talk about that at great length, right? If champagne can only be made in France, can jeans really be made and called jeans?
Yeah, I mean, but some people don't care, and that's look. We're just here for the people that do, yep. And the people that don't care that could, then we'll happily talk to them. But yep. For Cone closing, like I said, I'm going backwards a bit, but very sad about that for sure. Not just for us. I mean, we'll carry on. We're pretty nimble. Yep. But what about the people that were like 3rd generation factory workers at Cone Mills? Like that's where your head and heart go. That's where they should. And props to Cone for supporting them and having and staying true and trying to make it work. But in the end, it came down to makers of product, and even backwards more than that is the consumer. We have a lot of positive support out there in America and around the world that we're so happy about, and we catch a lot of grief too about our prices, obviously, because it's expensive, and it'd be nice if you had a unlimited amount of time where you can like sit there with people and talk to them about why it costs what it costs. Yep. But they might have an American flag on their truck, and at a closer look at that American flag sticker on their truck, and closer look, you might even see in the bottom right hand corner it says "Made in China." Yep. The sticker. So there's a presence of wanting to support Made in America, but yep. The reality is slim, yep. And for Americans, I hate to say it. I mean, we've been around too long. We know what we know, yep. And that's just how it goes. That falls into the category of just maybe what's wrong with this country. Why are factories closing, not opening?
Totally.
And that has to do with it, like an appreciation for Made in America, but not the willingness to back it with your wallet.
So do you want to talk at all a little bit about what you guys are doing? Obviously the new rollout for fabric and things like that.
So coincidentally, this is good timing for this because I mean, just yesterday I hustled over to the city, took out all the seats in my van and softball bats and bags and stuff that I'm a coach for, and I hollowed it out and I filled it up to the very top. Even the passenger seat had a box on it of our first shipment of finished product using our new fabric that's made in Japan. Yep. That was built to replicate those 3 fabrics that we made at Cone Mills. That was our goal. we had to shift gears, but in the process of transition, it was our goal to work with a factory in Japan that made what as closely as possible what Cone was making for us for the last 10 years.
For sure.
And then we got samples of it, and they did wash tests and all this stuff. So we're really happy with how it turned out. We have it now. I'm shipping the first order of it. I think is going out to this shop called Maple in Australia that's been supporting us for a long, long time. I've been sitting on, like, we're sold out of some sizes for sure, because you don't just suddenly, turn a switch on and now you're selling all Japanese fabric. You bleed out of your Cone Mill stuff. Your more popular fits and sizes go first, and then you pile on your new stuff. So for you, James, there'll be a mix of stuff for a while. If you reorder John Gramella or whatever, you'll see. You might not see it from the outside, but if you look at the tags on the inside, you'll see a new label in there. For instance, like the Elgin is, we were basically out of it 100% in the 03 fabric, the 14 3/4 ounce, and that was one of the first things we picked up. So essentially, anybody who orders Elgin right now is going to get a pair of, the new Japanese fabric, and that's we're excited about it, and it looks beautiful, and maybe people can stay with us if they're going to wait around for American-made denim. They're going to wait a long time because it's not there anymore.
Yep.
So if they can come with us and trust us with this transitional process, then great. I think they'll be happy with it. All the fits are the same. Guys are pretty fundamental sometimes. If they have a particular fit, if it's a straight leg thing they do or whatever, they'll wear them out and often come back for the exact same thing.
Yep.
Now he'll get the exact same thing, and whether he cares about denim or not, that fabric on his next pair will be most likely the Japanese fabric. So.
For sure.
So if we didn't say anything about it and just let it go, then a lot of people wouldn't care one way or the other.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that's a good segue into, like, what are you rocking? What's your fit of choice?
That's a hell of a question there, James. I swear I'm sold on loose fit stuff. For the past 5 years, I've worn like Ankara, and right now, I don't know if you can see, I've got the Elgins are the Sheffields on. It's kind of like a little bit big, a little bit low, 12 ounce, 12 and a half ounce denim. I really, really like it. I haven't worn the 12 and a half ounce denim in about 7 years.
Yep. So that's so 12 and a half ounce is your jam.
Right now, I mean, I'm happy I tried it, and in the end, I think I still like the 16 and a half ounce for me the best.
Yep.
And it's not a weight thing necessarily. It's just like I'm a real fan of old jeans.
Yep.
Just prior to like getting repairs and darning and all that stuff. So the 12 and a half ounce, we built that fabric to hold true to the color and the shade. And I really like how these are fading, but I'm really hard on my stuff. So I'm very excited when a jean gets really old looking.
Yep.
And these just stay true to like a newer looking fabric, which other guys want. They don't want like, oh, these are so hammered and old now already.
Yep.
Well, cool. We'll buy the 12 and a half ounce,
Yep.
Guys might ask, well, 12 and a half ounces, that's my summer jean. It's like, no, it's not. It's just, golly, they didn't feel like summer jeans when I wore them in Berlin in January when it was snowing outside and raining and stuff, it just, but there's a perception of that. And really, I mean, we're here. If guys have questions about the weight and they want a real answer about the differences, we'll give it to them. So, but that's what I've got on right now.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any, I mean, is there kind of a rule of thumb for kind of helping guys decide between the 3 weight classes that you guys are?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in fact, the guy was just here. We have an intern. His is at the local high school, and his dad came in and wanted a pair. And he's a denim guy. He had on a pair of selvage jeans on today, and we talked a bit about it. And I got him into a pair of Ladbroke Grove, size 30, 12 and a half ounces. And he's not a rough guy, so he'll wear them to the office.
Yep.
That's probably the smart choice for other reasons. And the 14 3/4 ounce is really beautiful as well, and has a lot more indigo in it.
Yep.
So it has this particular way of getting old and fading, but it does come off a little bit in the beginning. The first month or so, you might get a little bit of blue hand, and I think that's cool, but other guys might not. So you just listen. First you have to do is just listen to somebody and what they're into. You know, if it's a desk job, cool, and then it's really pretty easy. But if it's something, you know, more specific about, you know, fit, like, are you an active guy? Do you wear these camping, you know? Then it's like I'd rather wear like loose fit stuff if you're on the rooftop clearing out gutters. If you're really going to wear these out like I do, or how you're supposed to do, then it's more about fit than fabric to me. I remember I started wearing 5 years ago. I got a pair of the Sheffield, I think, again. First time, like, wow. Then they felt like almost like big pants at that point compared to like the summer stuff. And I remember that summer I built a really cool tree house for my kids. And I remember, like, we'd eat dinner and the sun sets around, you know, 8:30 or 9, and we'd have a couple of hours to go out there and build away. And I'm literally up in the tree in this thing all summer long. And I had on, and my wife luckily is like not watching, but I've got like a saw in one hand, a sawzall in one hand, holding on to the board with the other, with my leg wrapped around a trunk. Very dangerous, you know, 20 feet in the air. And but I'm thinking like, wow, it's kind of, I can't move like this in the old jeans, you know. Yep. So I got hooked on it for that reason. Was a fond memory of like that treehouse and and what the stuff that I wore while I built it, and I'm still there. You know, I'm still there. Yep. Whether it's the Ankara or the Sheffield, that's just my thing. You know, most guys want, like the guy in this morning. I mean, he came out of the fitting room. He's a smaller guy, but put on the elaborate glove. It was perfect. It was just like, yeah, of course. You know, that looks like it was made for you.
Yep.
And he has his life. So, I mean, can you build a treehouse in those things? For sure. But you know, it's more of a fashion thing to wear to work. And,
for sure.
That's how that was.
Yep. I don't know if you can see on your side, but everyone that's kind of joined in pops in at the bottom. So I'm going to scroll through to see if anybody has any questions, or, you know, I'll put it out that if anyone has any questions that's watching, they can ping it in.
I heard Tony asked a question.
Apparently Tony's, you know, questioning your diet, my man.
I'm a healthy guy, you know, and like Oprah said, you got to let it out. I didn't think I'd be referencing Oprah Winfrey.
You got to get those charcoal lined ones, I guess, apparently.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it's, hey, be free, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So we did have, you know, I know that you guys have, 7 fits now, right? We did have someone ask if there was any plans for, you know, like a buckle back kind of classic turn of the century kind of jean.
I'll stop you right there. You know, no. And I think the buckle back was originally, I'm not a fan of that style. To me, it's a bit extra, you know?
Yep.
And that's, you know, whatever. I mean, maybe there's probably various reasons why they started doing that in the first place. Maybe, you know, by the end of the day or the end of the week or month, those farmers and miners got super skinny and losing weight, and you got to just crank it out, and then they fit again, you know? Yep. That's just not my thing. It looks kind of cool. Some extra hardware. It's just, I don't know. No buckle back. Yeah.
Looks like Nico's asking for a shout out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We just posted a picture. I think it's the same Nico. Boy, he knows how to hammer a jacket and some jeans. Oh yeah. He does. Well done. And he's been doing that for a while.
I'm not sure if he's still on. Nico, are you still on? He's got the like blanket lined one, if I remember right.
The blanket coverall, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we did that once, you know, and the coverall jacket is like, this is that jacket, you know, you've got that. I mean, this is like my prized possession. I left this at a park once about 3 years ago, and I drove away, and I woke up the next morning like, where's my jacket? And oh man, I was not happy because I just started breaking it in, and I went back to the park where I thought I left it, and it wasn't there. Then I'm like, well, maybe it's at this other park. I drove around some various parks all morning, and I couldn't find it. And I'm telling you, like 2 months later, my wife has some clothing and an old suitcase from a trip or something like that, and that damn thing was covering my jacket on the floor of our bedroom, and it took that long for her to clean up or whatever. I hope she's not watching this. And I'm like, there's my jacket. And she goes, oh, there's your jacket. You mentioned that you were looking for that. So yeah, so the blanket line thing is coming back, for fall. We'll have that again for fall. It's been a few years since we've done it.
Yep.
And it's an awesome item. And I mean, our jackets without the liner are probably a better idea depending on where you live.
Yep.
But like right now, like I got a sweatshirt under this.
Yep.
It's just cold around here. The whole summer in San Francisco thing. My hands are cold, and
yep.
so I layer up. So the lined one's great for me, and you could put a scarf and a hooded sweatshirt or something underneath it on a cold winter day in New York as well. So
for sure,
it's a great item. If you buy one, don't lose it, because
cool.
It does get better with age. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, it looks
the
fantastic.
lighting's not so good right now, but Swiss jeans freak. He's not watching this, but if he was, he would pour some out on that. Like that's his thing.
No doubt.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do. The no wash. In fact, I think we have like a friend of a friend connection who buys white jeans every year. And we talk about this story? White jeans every year, and then he just blows them out. And apparently he's sending, they turn black by the end of the summer or whatever, by the time that he's pouring these.
I don't think we've talked about that, no?
Yeah.
White jeans? White
yeah. A guy who comes a regular in our shop, he's a friend of a gentleman who, I think his name is Snake, I want to say.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Say no more.
Yeah. He rocks these white jeans.
Madonna and Snake.
Exactly.
Has he been in the store?
He has not been in the store. He's just a friend of another client in the shop. But
yeah,
but I was following on his site, and it looks like he's sending his past white jeans over to our friend for his jeans museum.
Snake's the real deal. He's the original fella. Not that I know him well. We met him a few times, He did a Todd Bluebaugh. You know that name.
Yep.
You don't carry that fit, but Todd did a photography show up in Iron and Resin in San Francisco.
Yep.
And those guys rode those big motorcycles up here, and they got in late. And you don't know the Iron and Resin shop, but it's basically floor to ceiling glass across the street, catty corner from the Transamerica building, if you can picture that. And there's people walking by. It's like the gateway to the financial district and all that. And I remember I got there pretty early in the morning, and they were just kind of waking up, and they had just rolled out their sleeping bags right next to the glass. So on the other side of the glass was the sidewalk and pedestrians, and there's no window shades and there's no tint on the window. I was like, you guys slept there? Like, of all the places in this shop, they slept in the shop.
Yeah,
and
by the window.
It was right by the glass, and people were walking by going, what the hell's going on? And the motorcycles you should see Snake's motorcycle. Like, it looks like Mad Max all the way. So yeah, original dudes for sure. They're very creative guys.
Yep.
Todd and Snake.
So, I won't keep you too much longer. We'll see if any questions pop in. But is there anything new coming out that you wanna plug, talk about, chat about?
Well, for product, I'm excited to have this jacket back in the fold. It's going to be fun to pack that up. The blanket lined 16-ounce jean jacket. We also have a collaboration this fall with Faribault. And then we've got their wool, and we're doing the clamp down shirt. It's kind of a shirt jacket at that point, because it's a wool blanket.
Yep.
That we're turning into our classic shirt, the clamp down. Yep. That'll be around probably September. It comes in 3 colors, and classic collaboration stuff, which we haven't done in a long time. And it was just nice. They hired a lady named Connie Fry, who's an old friend of mine from the Massimo days, actually. And she's out hustling the industry big time. But she knew us, and she started working for them. One of her first calls was to me. And I mean, as she said, like, Faribault used to years ago make mauve colored blankets for old ladies.
Yep.
And she's helped them evolve into some really relevant product for men's shops. Yep. So this collaboration seemed logical, and she is fantastic. So it's been really fun to work with them, and I think the product's gonna be really nice. We showed it first in January in Berlin, and who's your greatest intern? That's a tough one. I mean, we've had a few of them. You don't know that guy. Hey, Nick. go see this cat. If you're driving south ever to LA or something like that, go stop in and have James buy you a burrito or something like that. So the guy, Nick James,
Yep.
of course, Nick's the best intern of all time, Nick Buchanan. And he was also, anyway, I'll say a lot of nice things about him. I met him when he was about 15, and he's involved to quite the savant in menswear and industry and countercultures and skateboarding and all this stuff. So as I've always said, like, hiring Nick Buchanan is a good idea. So as far he was way overqualified to be an intern at our little place. He's going to do a lot of good stuff in the years to come. So, hey, Nick, stop by sometime too. It's been too long. Sammy was here the other day, and it's time to see your grill. Does that answer your question?
Awesome.
Do you ever have interns, James?
Yeah, we've had an intern right now from the high school.
Yeah, it takes some time, but man, we've got one too in the high school. I mentioned his dad was here. Good kid. I'm like, what? Are you getting credit for this? He's like, no, man. I just want to I want to do something with myself. I think he's a sophomore or junior, and he's a smart kid, and he listens, and he just probably drafts off of our conversations throughout the day.
Yep.
And maybe picks up a thing or two. So props to those kids that are taking the time to get involved like that. So good for you to bring up too.
Yeah. I get in trouble because his style before he joined us at the shop was very tailored and cleaned up, and he goes to school now with raw jeans and a more casual vibe, and people ask, what's wrong with you?
I mean, I go back to like 81, 82, 83, man. I was the dude who rolled in with like a cardigan sweater and a tie and fresh penny loafers and wide welt cords and stuff, man. I was all about looking good at school. Simply because, the girls responded, right? I mean, you dress nice, and next thing you're sitting there, and some girl looks at you you've had a crush on. She says, "Oh my God, you look great today." It's like, okay, let's do this. That's what was happening. I don't know what's going on now. Now I think a lot of high school kids just whittle it down to like a 35 pair of stance socks, and a pair of basketball shorts. Yeah. But anyway, I wonder if they still have that at the end of the year they put best dressed, funny.
Yeah, I haven't seen a yearbook in a minute, but I'm curious about that too. What does best dress mean when you're only wearing athleisure wear every day?
Well, it's relative to the times, I guess. It was almost like a competition in my day. I didn't get it, to be clear. Someone outdid me. This guy named Steve Grant. Yeah, that's who won it. Steve Grant was this guy. Not only did he have really good style, but he had that fluffy early 80s blowout going, which I couldn't compete. I did have.
Listen, now you got him beat because you're we even had a comment. If I can turn bald like Pete, then I'm winning in life.
Hey, maybe, but to reference Steve Grant and Oprah Winfrey in the same little conversation, I'm proud of myself.
That's what we do. We're all about making it crunchy out there. That's for sure.
Hey, it all comes together.
You see that? Who's the best ping pong player?
Who's the best pong player? Oh, Nick. Oh, another Nick. Well, so the guy that wrote that, he meant well. And, but boy, he couldn't get a game off me back in the day. And this is going back to Paul Frank days. I worked at Paul Frank. Remember that whole thing?
Yep.
But I'll tell you, he was the most stylish ping pong player, even though he didn't win much. But he had the good style, which really counts. Let's be fair. It's not always about the win, is it? It's like how you look out there. Stop with the horrible diarrhea and get down here and put some pants in a box. Who do you think wrote that one, huh?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Well, lucky us, that we get to put pants in a box for a living. I mean, that's part of the fun, really.
Hey, thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure, James. Be well. Thanks for your time. Have a good day.
Anything else you want to wrap up on?
Has my mom come in yet?
Not yet.
Have you seen that bucket hat we did?
Yeah, no, we talked about it.
Yeah,
you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, she's so proud of that. Like, if you ever have the chance to name something after your mother, do.
Got to do it.
All right, I'll leave you with that.
Killer.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Thanks, brother. Bye.